Hey guys, this is Sara from the Sustainabillies here in Western North Carolina. It's a beautiful spring day. It feels like summertime out here, doesn't it? It was 80 degrees yesterday. I can't believe how warm it is. It's gotten everybody really excited. I've got a lot of folks that are telling me that they've already put their tomatoes and squash and a lot of tender summer plants in the ground. And unfortunately, the weather forecast is not looking great for us. This upcoming weekend, they're talking about 30 degrees on Saturday night. So what do? You've already got your plants in the ground. You can't go outside and yank them out. It's going to be 30 degrees. We've got to protect those babies. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what you can do to make sure that this cold weather coming this weekend doesn't end up causing you to have to buy new garden plants. You can see right here, we actually planted this bed as an educational tool for you guys. We're going to come out and do another video after we have this cold weather, and we're going to show you all how well these guys did. Now, even though it's going to get down to 30 degrees, and even those squash and cucumbers, which are what we have in here, are some of the most tender plants, these guys are going to be just fine. What we're doing here is we're using a combination of a cover to keep the frost and that cold humidity off of our plants, as well as containers that are holding water that are going to work as a heat sink. You can see here we've taken these little jugs, gallon jugs, we've filled them full of water, and we've set them in the garden. You can also take buckets. Here we've got a kitty litter bucket. You can use 5-gallon buckets. You can even use big Tupperware containers that I'll show you here in just a minute. Fill those bad boys full of water at least a day before you're going to get that cold weather. Let them absorb all of that good solar energy to warm them up. If you can, one thing that actually is really helpful is you can actually fill them with warm water out of the bathtub and take them out there the evening of, and it'll really, really help your plants out. It just depends on how big of a garden space you have and how many containers you need to fill. These are going to radiate warmth into our space and help to keep this temperature artificially high around our plants. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to cover them with this cover. You can see we're using our arches here. I'm probably going to push these arches down just a little bit so that our cover is a little bit lower down, a little closer to the plants. You want your cover to be close to the plants, but you don't want it touching your plants. If you touch your cover with your plants, they're going to be exposed to those external temperatures. Another thing you may notice is our cover is fabric. Using plastic can be incredibly dangerous when we're covering our plants, trying to protect them against cold weather. If you only have plastic, then of course, use what you've got, but always try to use fabric. Plastic can be tricky for a couple of reasons. Plastic doesn't breathe, and so plastic will trap that humidity inside of there. As the outside temperatures cool and these inside temperatures are still warm, you're going to get humidity that's going to build up on the inside of the plastic, and then that temperature drops even more, and you can end up still getting a frost underneath your cover because of the fact that you use plastic. Another thing that's a big issue with plastic is that it gets really hot in there really fast. So a lot of people will cover their plants with plastic. They'll make it through the night, but they don't run out first thing in the morning to uncover their plants because they're looking at the outside temperatures. They're not realizing that it is leaping by tens of degrees underneath this cover. They've created an unvented greenhouse around their plants, and they come out here and it's like 100 degrees underneath the plastic, and they've cooked all their little plants that just made it through that cold night. So if you can avoid plastic, do so. If you don't have any floating row covers like this, you can usually check out your local farm and garden store. They usually have them. They'll be called frost blankets or floating row covers. You can also use sheets, towels, pillowcases, t-shirts. We've used anything and everything here on our farm. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is, so what if we do just have a situation where we don't have hoops like this? Let's pretend these hoops aren't here, and we've got this tomato plant we want to keep warm. So we take our 5-gallon buckets full of water. I filled this up out of the pond. We let them sit in the sun all day, and these are going to get nice and warm. And then that evening, I've got this old sheet here. It's just an old dirty sheet that I'm going to come in and I'm going to tuck it over the top of these plants. I'm going to cover the top of this tomato plant. I'm going to make sure that the sheet is down on the ground. You can even tuck it under the edge of your buckets. Because they're full of water, that's going to help hold it in place. You want to make sure to pull that tight between your buckets so you've got this nice little snug greenhouse. This little guy's not touching the covers anywhere. You want to make sure that you weigh down those edges so cold air doesn't get in. Make sure your cover is in contact with the ground all the way around. And this is going to create a nice little warm place for this tomato to make it through those cold temperatures. I really hope that you guys are successful at keeping all of your babies warm and have a really great gardening season. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.